Hey guys, tonight we begin with a thought that might shake you a little. Nothing in life is truly impossible. Whenever you wake up, that is your morning. Sounds simple, but it's also a reminder that no matter how heavy your past feels, change can still arrive like sunrise through the blinds. If you've ever had nights lying awake, thinking you've gone too far down a road you can't return from, this story might feel like a soft hand on your shoulder. And without it, honestly, some of us wouldn't survive the weight of our own doubts. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love to know, where are you watching from tonight, and what time is it there? Drop it in the comments. I always imagine these stories drifting across states and time zones like a quiet campfire shared between friends. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The night is still. You walk with the Buddha toward a small village on the edge of the forest. Windows are shut tight, doors locked, the streets deserted. It feels less like a village and more like a stage where everyone has vanished behind curtains. The silence presses in, almost like a held breath. Something is wrong, though you can't see it yet. Silent village. The path curves gently, and you follow the Buddha deeper into the village. At first, it feels like any other quiet settlement on the edge of a forest. Low houses, wooden gates, narrow dirt streets. But then you notice something unusual. There are no voices, no footsteps, not even the bark of a dog. The silence is almost too perfect, the kind of silence that feels like it's hiding something. Every door is shut tight. Curtains pulled across small windows. Even the breeze seems to hold back, as if the air itself doesn't want to disturb the stillness. Imagine walking through a suburban neighborhood at dusk, and every porch light is off, every car missing from the driveway, every house pretending no one lives inside. It's eerie, not because you see danger, but because you don't. The Buddha pauses at the first house, standing before the wooden door. His voice is calm, steady, the kind of voice that has no doubt. Bhiksham dehi, a gentle request for alms. But nothing stirs. Not a hinge creaks, not a latch clicks. The stillness presses closer, like the village is holding its breath. He moves to another door, repeats the request. Again, silence. Then another door. Nothing. You can almost feel the weight of fear pressing against the wood from the inside, as if entire families are hiding, praying not to be noticed. Finally, one door creaks open, just a crack. A man slips out, his face pale, his eyes darting like a trapped animal. He grabs the Buddha's hand with urgency and pulls him quickly inside, whispering in a tone sharp with fear. Please, you cannot stay out here. It isn't safe. Angulimala has been seen near the forest edge. The name hangs in the air like a shadow. Angulimala. Even before the man explains, the weight of the name is enough to chill the spine. You sense the entire village is haunted not by ghosts, but by one living man. A predator who makes humans vanish the way wolves make sheep vanish. The villager's words tumble out, fast and nervous, like a confession. Everyone is hiding. He kills anyone he sees, children, women, even monks. And each time, he cuts off a finger and threads it onto his necklace. That's why they call him Angulimala, the garland of fingers. They say once he reaches 100, his power will become unstoppable. It's a grotesque image, isn't it? Like something pulled from a horror film, except this isn't staged, It's the lived fear of these people. The necklace isn't jewelry, it's terror strung into beads. The man's grip on Buddha's hand tightens. "Please," he begs, "don't go outside. He could kill you too." But the Buddha's face doesn't change. No shadow of fear, no sign of hesitation. He simply listens, then answers softly. "A man like Angulimala isn't dangerous because of his strength. He is dangerous because he is suffering. That is why I must meet him." The villager shakes his head in disbelief. Who would walk straight into the fire when everyone else is fleeing? And yet, the Buddha's tone is so steady, so certain, that for a moment, even the man's trembling slows. Outside, the streets remain empty, doors barred. The whole village has turned itself into a fortress of silence, but silence cannot last forever. And as you stand in that dimly lit room, you realize the story is about to turn toward the forest, where silence gives way to confrontation. Because somewhere beyond the trees, Angulimala is waiting. The whispered fear. The room is dim, lit only by a single flicker of oil lamp. The man who pulled you inside still hasn't let go of the Buddha's hand. His voice lowers, nearly a whisper, as if even the walls might betray him if he speaks too loudly. He leans close, his breath shaky, and begins to tell the story that every villager already knows by heart. Angulimala was once a student, a man like any other, he says, eyes darting to the window. But something inside him broke. They say he was deceived, tricked into believing that violence was his path to strength. Now he prowls these forests and roads. No one dares to walk alone. Every time he kills, he takes a finger. He threads it onto his necklace until it hangs heavy across his chest. Do you see why everyone hides? The words pour out with a kind of hopeless rhythm, like a confession repeated too many times. The image of that necklace grows clearer in your mind, grotesque and unbearable. A chain of human lives reduced to trophies. In another setting, you might think it belongs to a nightmare, but here it is spoken as reality. The villager's face hardens with fear. It isn't gold or silver he craves. It isn't wealth. He doesn't rob. He kills simply to feed that dark vow of 100 fingers. And they say when his necklace is full, his power will rise beyond anything we've seen. You sit in silence, the words hanging in the air. You picture the villagers' children pressed against their mothers, old men trembling behind shuttered doors. The entire community reduced to silence because of one man's shadow. The Buddha listens without interruption. His eyes rest calmly on the man, as steady as a stone beneath a flowing river. When the villager finishes, voice breaking, the Buddha thanks him with quiet sincerity. But then he says something that makes the man's jaw drop. Fear, the Buddha replies gently, only grows when you feed it. Angulimala is not powerful because of his killings. He is powerful because fear gives him shape. Without it, he is only a man in pain. The villager shakes his head violently. No, you don't understand. He'll kill you like he's killed the others. He doesn't spare anyone. Please, I beg you, don't go outside. Not tonight. The Buddha's smile is faint but certain. If he is so feared, then he needs me most of all. To turn away would be to abandon him to his suffering. You can feel the tension in the air, the difference between these two men. One clinging to fear, the other rooted in unshakable peace. The villager's hands tremble as he clasps them together, pleading again. Why risk yourself for him? He'll never change. He is death itself. The Buddha answers with a voice so calm it seems to lower the pulse of the room. No one is beyond change. A man does not become less human by his crimes. He only forgets his humanity. And when he remembers even for a moment, he can begin again. Those words strike something inside you, a flicker of possibility, small but undeniable. How many times in your own life have you thought change was impossible, that your mistakes defined you forever? Maybe, just maybe, the story unfolding here is not only about a murderer in the forest, it is about anyone who has ever carried regret like a heavy chain. Take a moment here, as the story unfolds, to reflect on this. If there's a part of this story, or a phrase the Buddha spoke, that stirs something in you, share it in the comments. It might be a sentence, it might be a feeling, it might even be a question. But saying it out loud is a way of placing a lantern in the dark, so others know they are not alone. The villager finally sighs, defeated by the Buddha's calm certainty. He knows his words cannot sway this man. Outside, the night stretches endlessly, trees swaying at the edge of the forest like watchful sentinels. The Buddha stands, preparing to leave the safety of the house. His steps are slow but sure, like a man walking toward a meeting he has awaited all his life. The villager calls out one last time, his voice breaking. "You can't. He will cut you down." But the Buddha only turns, eyes soft, and replies, "He will not find me as others do. He will find me as he has never found anyone before." The door opens. The night air rushes in, cool and heavy. The streets are still silent, but now the silence feels like a drumbeat, steady, ominous, pulling you toward the forest where the shadow of Angulimala waits. The Buddha steps outside, leaving behind the fearful man, leaving behind the shuttered village. You follow him into the dark, and as you cross the threshold, you realize this story has only just begun. Because soon, the forest will speak. Buddha's resolve. The night is deep now, the kind of dark that seems to drink sound. The Buddha steps out of the villager's home and into the stillness of the village street. You follow quietly, every sense heightened. The houses remain shut, the doors sealed, the windows barred. Yet even though fear lingers in every corner, the Buddha's presence makes the silence feel different. Not empty, but steady, as if the ground itself trusts him. His robe brushes lightly against the earth with each step. He walks slowly, deliberately, as if he knows exactly where he is going. You feel your own heartbeat thudding faster, not because of the quiet, but because of what lies ahead. Somewhere beyond those trees, Angulimala waits, and yet the Buddha does not falter. You think back to the villager's desperate words, the warning, the trembling plea, "Don't go. He will kill you." But the Buddha's decision has already been made. He does not see Angulimala as a monster or even as an enemy. He sees him as a man drowning in his own pain, and he intends to reach into that darkness. The path toward the forest crunches faintly beneath your feet. Every sound feels magnified. You imagine how the villagers must feel when they hear the name Angulimala, how even the whisper of his footsteps sends families running into shadows. Yet the Buddha continues forward, unhurried, as if the night itself is simply another companion walking alongside him. He pauses for a moment, tilts his head slightly, and speaks. His voice is calm, the same voice that asked for alms just moments ago. "Fear is powerful," he says, though he does not look back at you. It builds walls and locks doors. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is walking through fear with compassion in your hands. Those words settle into the night like stones in water. Ripples move outward, lingering in your mind. Perhaps this is why his resolve feels so unshakable, because he isn't denying fear. He simply refuses to let fear rule his steps. As you walk, you can almost feel two worlds pressing against each other. The world of the village, where people hide and tremble, and the world of the Buddha, where silence is not terror, but a canvas for peace. And you realize something simple, something striking. Every step he takes is a declaration, a refusal to turn away. Imagine, for a moment, what that kind of resolve might mean in your own life. To walk forward, even when the voices around you plead with you to stop. To see pain not as a reason to retreat, but as a signal that compassion is needed. Where have you drawn back because fear told you to? What would it look like to step forward anyway? The Buddha stops briefly, gazing toward the shadowed forest ahead. His face remains soft, but there's a clarity in his eyes that makes you understand. This meeting with Angulimala is not chance. It is necessary. The forest is quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that warns of something watching, but he does not hesitate. For a moment, you want to speak, to ask him why, to ask him if he really believes a man so consumed by violence can change. But before the words can rise, he begins moving again. It feels as though the answer is already given. His walk itself is the answer. If you're listening now, feeling the pulse of this journey, take a breath with me. Let it be slow, steady. Let it remind you that even in your own darkest nights, you have a step to take. Sometimes the step itself is the resolve, the proof that change can begin. The path narrows, leading directly into the trees. The moonlight stretches across the branches, silver and thin, painting the forest in quiet strokes. Ahead lies danger, but also possibility. And as you step into the forest behind the Buddha, you feel the weight of anticipation settle across your shoulders, because soon the silence will break. And when it does, it will be Angulimala's voice, crashing through the night. Into the forest swallows you slowly, like stepping into another world. The air is cooler here, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and pine. The canopy above blocks much of the moonlight, letting only thin silver ribbons spill across the path. Each step forward feels heavier, not because the ground is steep, but because you know what lies deeper within. The Buddha walks ahead with the same calm rhythm he has carried since leaving the village. His robe brushes softly against his ankles, his posture steady, his breath even. There is no sign of hesitation. You almost wonder if he sees this forest differently, while others imagine danger in every shadow. He seems to find stillness in the same places where fear would usually hide. Your ears strain for sound. Nothing moves. No birds, no rustle of small creatures, no insects humming in the leaves. It is as though the entire forest is holding its breath, waiting. The silence feels alive now, thicker, heavier, stretching across every tree like a warning. You picture the villagers again, locked behind doors, whispering prayers into the dark. They fear this silence because it means one thing. He is near. Angulimala. Somewhere in the darkness, perhaps watching already, perhaps waiting to step into the path. The thought sends a quick pulse of fear through you, though you keep walking. The Buddha's voice breaks the quiet, low and steady. The forest does not hide him, he says, almost as though speaking to the trees themselves. It only shows how far fear can reach. His words do not sound like comfort, not exactly, but like simple truth, placed gently into the night. As you continue, You think about how fear often does the same in your own life. It closes doors, silences voices, makes whole places feel unlivable. And yet, here is the Buddha, moving through it step by step, as though fear itself has no claws when faced with compassion. The path grows narrower, twisting between thick roots and jagged rocks. Moonlight flickers across the forest floor in patches, lighting the way just enough to keep moving forward. You hear your own breath now, steady but louder in the silence. The Buddha, however, seems to glide, his footsteps almost inaudible, as if he belongs here in a way no one else could. You pause in your mind for a moment, letting this scene settle. Imagine it. The deep woods at night, the presence of danger hanging heavy, and yet someone walking before you with complete serenity. What would it feel like to borrow even a little of that peace for your own fears? If this thought stirs something in you, let it. And if it feels right, share it. Sometimes a single sentence, spoken or written, is enough to remind another person that courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means walking forward anyway. The Buddha stops briefly at the crest of a small clearing. His gaze lifts toward the darker stretch of forest beyond, where the trees press closer together, almost like a gate. His stillness is different this time, no longer simply calm, but expectant. You sense it too, the shift in the air. The silence has grown tighter, heavier, as though it is waiting to be broken. The clearing feels like the threshold of something inevitable. The next step will not be like the ones before. Because beyond this point, you know the night does not belong only to the trees. It belongs to Angulimala. And soon, he will appear. The terrifying encounter. The clearing feels wider than it really is, the way silence can stretch space. The Buddha takes one more step, and the night finally shifts. Out of the shadows, a figure emerges. At first, it is only a shape, broad and tall, moving with the weight of something more beast than man. Then the moonlight breaks across his face, and you see him clearly. Angulimala. His body is strong, muscles hard beneath the dirt and scars. His face is smeared with blood, some dried, some still wet, as though the memory of violence clings to him with every breath. Around his neck hangs the necklace, the garland of fingers. It swings as he steps forward, each bone-white fragment catching the silver glow of the moon. You almost can't look at it, the grotesque reminder that each piece was once part of someone's life. His eyes are wild, burning with something deeper than anger. It is hunger, yes, but not for food. It is hunger for fear, for power, for the illusion that cruelty can make a man untouchable. When he sees the Buddha standing calm and unmoving, his lips curl back into something between a snarl and a grin. Most men would have turned and run by now. Many would have fallen to their knees, begging for mercy, but the Buddha does neither. He meets the terrible gaze of Angulimala with a look that holds no judgment, only quiet recognition. He stands as if facing not a murderer, but a man, one who has forgotten what it means to be human. The silence between them is heavy. You feel your own chest tighten, your breath caught, and then Angulimala speaks, his voice like gravel breaking. No one walks past me and lives. Why do you stand there as if I am nothing? The Buddha does not answer right away. His calm is so complete it feels like its own reply. That pause unsettles Angulimala more than words might have. He takes another step forward, and the necklace rattles softly, each finger clinking against the next like a grim wind chime. The fear that the villagers carried now rises inside you too. It is a natural instinct, the body's warning, but here is the strange thing. You glance at the Buddha, and he is untouched by it. His peace creates a space where even fear struggles to breathe. You realize then the true clash is not between strength and weakness, not between violence and defense. It is between fear and fearlessness. And that, perhaps, is why this encounter feels larger than life. Because it is a mirror for every moment you have stood before something you thought was too much for you. Take a breath now. Let it be slow. Ask yourself, what is the Angulimala in your life? What fear walks toward you with eyes blazing, necklace rattling, demanding you zoop out down? And how might you, even in the smallest way, choose to stand calm before it? If this thought touches something inside you, hold it. And if you wish, share it. Sometimes courage grows stronger when it is spoken aloud. The clearing holds still. Angulimala stares hard at the Buddha, waiting for fear to appear, waiting for the trembling, for the begging. But nothing comes. Only that steady gaze, like a mirror reflecting not his violence but his hidden humanity. It unsettles him. He is used to cries, to panic, to the look in the eyes of men who know their life is about to end. This quiet refusal confuses him, it angers him, and in that anger he steps closer, closer still, until the smell of blood on his body drifts heavy in the air. The Buddha does not move back. He does not speak yet. He simply stands, waiting. It feels as though the entire forest has gathered to watch this moment. The trees, the shadows, even the moon itself. You sense what is coming. The silence cannot last much longer. Angulimala will not tolerate this calm forever. Soon his voice will shatter the night. Soon he will demand what the Buddha cannot give: fear. And when that demand comes, the story will turn, ignored by peace. The stillness stretches long enough to feel unbearable. Angulimala stands there, his chest heaving, eyes burning with rage. Then, with a voice that cracks the night like thunder, he shouts, "Stop, monk! Stop where you are!" His command cuts through the trees, echoing across the silent forest. Most men would have frozen, some would have dropped to the ground, paralyzed by fear. But the Buddha does not stop. He keeps walking, slow and steady, as if the command were never given. His steps press gently into the earth, one after the other, unbroken by threat. Angulimala blinks, startled, then roars again. "Did you not hear me? I said stop!" His voice shakes the leaves, sends a bird flapping out of the branches into the night sky. Still, the Buddha walks. The calm rhythm of his movement is so ordinary that it feels extraordinary, a defiance not by resistance but by indifference. Angulimala's teeth clench. His necklace rattles as he steps closer, the grisly trophies bouncing against his chest. "No one ignores me," he snarls, his words half growl. "No one." His body is taut with fury, every muscle ready to strike. And yet the Buddha moves past him as though the storm of anger were nothing more than passing wind. The effect is unsettling. Imagine a bully shouting in your face, expecting tears, expecting retreat. And instead, you simply look at them, breathe, and carry on. That refusal to give them what they want doesn't weaken them. It confuses them. It steals the script from their hands. And here, in this forest clearing, Angulimala's script is being torn apart. You can feel the tension coiled tighter, like a rope being pulled to its limit. Angulimala is used to controlling the scene, to deciding how fear unfolds. Yet the Buddha's serenity denies him his power. This is not resistance in the way Angulimala knows it. It is something stranger, something stronger. The Buddha pauses just briefly, long enough for his eyes to meet Angulimala's. There is no hatred there, no challenge, only a quiet acknowledgement. That look says, "I see you." Not the monster, not the murderer. You. It is infuriating. Angulimala shakes with rage. He bellows one final time, his voice tearing the night. "Stop, monk, or I will cut you down." His words are more desperate than commanding now. A man drowning who cannot understand why the waves are not pulling the other under. And still, the Buddha does not flinch. He continues on his path, step by step, every movement deliberate, every breath even. It is as if fear itself has no place to land on him. Think about this for yourself. How often do you hand power to the things that scare you by reacting, by feeding them with attention? What if instead you simply walked on, refusing to give fear its fuel? That doesn't mean denial. It means choosing not to bend to the script fear writes for you. If this idea stirs something inside you, let it sit. Or share it, because speaking it aloud is how we remind ourselves and each other that fear loses its grip when we no longer play its game. Angulimala's face twists in frustration. He expected terror, begging, submission. Instead, he finds only silence and movement, a peace that refuses to stop. And that peace unsettles him more than any blade could. For a moment, he does not know what to do. His fury rises higher, hotter, until it feels as though it must break. His voice builds in his chest, ready to shatter the night once more, louder than before. The forest itself seems to lean in, waiting to see how this man of violence will respond to the calm he cannot shake. And soon, his roar will come again, the shout of anger. The silence after the Buddha's steps feels heavier than the forest itself. Angulimala's breath rattles like a beast cornered, though he is the one holding the weapon. His rage boils, unable to tolerate being ignored. Then, with a voice that splits the clearing in two, he shouts, "Stop, monk! I command you!" The cry is deafening. Birds that had stayed hidden in branches explode into the sky, wings beating frantic against the moonlight. The sound rolls deep into the woods, echoing so long it feels like the forest itself is answering. But the Buddha continues forward, steady, as though the shout was no more than wind brushing through the trees. This indifference enrages Angulimala even further. He storms forward, his steps pounding against the earth. The garland of fingers rattles with each stride, a grotesque music of bones clinking together. His face is twisted, veins tight across his neck, eyes burning with a fire that has consumed too many lives already. He shouts again, louder, more desperate. "Do you mock me? Do you not know who I am?" The Buddha finally pauses, not because he fears, but because the storm has reached him. He turns slowly, his gaze calm, his body still. Angulimala towers close now, so near you can see the dried stains of blood across his skin, the madness flickering in his eyes. Most people would crumble in this moment. They would fall to their knees, beg for mercy, or for anything to live one more day, but not the Buddha. His stillness is unbroken. Angulimala lifts his blade, the steel glinting in the pale moonlight. When I command men, they kneel. When I command women, they scream. When I command monks, they beg for their lives. But you... He shakes his head, almost disbelieving. You walk as though I am nothing, as though my blade is nothing. Tell me, Why do you not stop? The Buddha's voice comes, quiet but firm. I have already stopped, Angulimala. Long ago, I laid down the path of harm. It is you who cannot stop walking, chasing violence with every step. The words are simple, but they cut deeper than any sword. Angulimala blinks, stunned, as though the ground beneath him has shifted. For the first time, uncertainty flickers across his face. He snarls again, trying to bury it. Lies! I am power. I am death itself. His blade trembles in his grip, not with weakness, but with fury that does not land where it once did. The Buddha's calm refuses to reflect the monster Angulimala wants to see. Instead, it reflects the man beneath. Think about this moment for yourself. How many times has anger demanded your attention? How many times has fear screamed for you to stop, to bow, to collapse? And what would it mean if you answered differently? Not with panic, not with surrender, but with the quiet truth. I have already stopped. Let that sink in. And if it feels right, share your thought in the comments. The act of saying it might give someone else the strength to stop chasing what harms them too. The forest holds its breath. The blade remains raised, but something in Angulimala's chest shifts. He has roared, he has commanded, but none of it has worked. And in the quiet reflection of the Buddha's gaze, he is forced to confront something he has avoided all along himself. The night trembles on the edge of change. Angulimala's fury has not burned out yet, but the calm has pierced through the storm. And what comes next will test not only his strength, but his very soul. Because soon the blade will fall closer, and the Buddha will not move. The first dialogue. The blade hangs between them, sharp and gleaming in the thin wash of moonlight. For a moment it feels as though the forest itself leans closer, waiting to see if it will strike. Angulimala's chest rises and falls, his breath jagged, his eyes wide with fury. He has shouted, he has threatened, yet the monk before him remains still, not frozen, not trembling, but present, unshaken. Finally, Angulimala breaks the silence, his voice tearing from his throat like fire. Why do you not stop? I have commanded you 3 times, and no man ignores me. Why do you walk as though I am not here? The Buddha looks at him with that same steady gaze, soft but unyielding. His answer comes slowly, each word carrying a weight that does not belong to anger, but to truth. I have stopped, Angulimala. Long ago, I stopped walking the path of harm, but you cannot stop. Your steps carry you further into darkness with every life you take. The words slice deeper than any weapon. Angulimala staggers slightly, as though the ground beneath him has shifted. His grip tightens on the sword, desperate to anchor himself to the identity he has built. He snarls, shaking his head. You speak riddles. You dare claim you have stopped when I see you walking before me. The Buddha does not raise his voice. He does not step back. He simply answers again, calm and clear. My body moves, but my heart has stopped running after anger, after cruelty, after desire. I am still. But your feet never rest. You chase blood. You chase fear. You cannot stop. Angulimala's face twists, caught between rage and confusion. No one has ever spoken to him like this. Every other voice he has heard has been filled with screams, with terror, with desperate pleas. But here stands a man who not only does not fear him, but dares to say that he is the one who cannot stop. The accusation lands in his chest, heavy. For the first time, his voice falters. Are you saying I am the one who is enslaved? That I am not in control? His tone shakes, not with doubt of his strength, but with the sting of seeing himself from another angle. The Buddha nods slightly, his expression gentle. Yes, the chain you wear is not only made of fingers, it is made of your own suffering. Every step you take binds you tighter. You think you are powerful, but truly you are trapped. Those words dig deep. For a moment, you can see it in Angulimala's eyes, the flicker of recognition, the small fracture in the wall of rage he has built around himself. And it is unsettling, because if what the Buddha says is true, then all his power, all his violence has been nothing more than proof of his own prison. Take a breath here. Imagine standing in his place, holding on to something you thought gave you power, only to realize it has been chaining you all along. How many times have you clung to anger, thinking it made you strong, only to discover it made you smaller? If this reflection touches you, hold it gently or share it so others might see themselves in the mirror too. The clearing grows quieter, the tension bending into something new. Angulimala lowers his blade just slightly, his eyes darting across the Buddha's face as if searching for deception. But there is none. Only calm, only truth. Still, he is not ready to surrender. His pride bristles, his fury still burns. He shakes his head violently, trying to rid himself of the thought. No, I am the master here, not the slave. You will see his voice rises again, but it sounds less certain now, more like a man arguing with himself than commanding another. The Buddha does not move, does not argue further. He simply stands, letting silence carry the weight of his words, and that silence is louder than Angulimala's roar. The night feels poised, like the breath before a storm. Angulimala is shaken, but not broken. He cannot walk away, yet he cannot understand why this monk refuses to bend. The tension coils tighter, pulling both men toward a moment neither can avoid. Because soon, Angulimala's sword will test not only flesh, but the very strength of compassion. The sting of words. The forest holds its breath as Angulimala stands there, sword still raised but trembling ever so slightly. The Buddha's words seem to echo long after they were spoken, circling the clearing like whispers that cannot be shaken. You are trapped. The phrase gnaws at him. He wants to deny it, to bury it under rage, but it clings to him like a shadow he cannot outrun. His jaw tightens. He snarls again, desperate to reclaim the power slipping from his grip. You dare to speak to me this way? Do you not see what I am? Do you not see the blood on my hands, the garland at my throat? I am feared by kings, dreaded by soldiers. No one has ever called me anything but a beast. His voice cracks on the last word, a sound almost like grief hidden beneath the fury. The Buddha steps closer, not hurried, not afraid. His eyes do not flicker away from Angulimala's. And then, in a voice gentle but steady, he answers, You are not a beast. You are a man. The words strike harder than steel. Angulimala staggers, blinking as if the night itself has shifted. No one has ever said this to him, not his victims, not his enemies, not the villagers whispering in fear. For years he has been called monster, demon, butcher, but never, never human. The sound of it lands deep in his chest, so strange, so alien, it almost hurts. His lips curl back, trying to dismiss it. Lies, he spits, though his voice is weaker. I am not like other men. I have gone too far. I cannot return. The Buddha shakes his head softly. No one travels so far that they cannot turn back. You are human, Angulimala. You have forgotten, but you are human still. For a moment, the mighty killer looks small, like a child lost in a nightmare he cannot wake from. His sword dips just slightly, though anger rushes back to hold it aloft again. The tug of war plays out visibly across his face. Rage against recognition, violence against the faintest flicker of hope. You feel it too, that sting of words. Imagine for a moment if someone looked at you, not at your mistakes, not at your failures, but at you, and reminded you of your own humanity. How often do we forget this for ourselves? How often do we see only our flaws, only the broken pieces, instead of the wholeness beneath? If this reflection touches you, pause here, breathe. And if you feel called to, share it. You might be surprised how many others need the same reminder. Angulimala's grip tightens on his sword, knuckles white, though his hand trembles. His voice rises again, but this time it shakes. Why do you speak to me like this? Why do you not hate me? Why do you not call me the monster that I am? The Buddha's gaze does not waver. Because I see what you truly are. Anger covers it. Fear blinds it. But beneath it all, there is a man who still has the power to change. The silence that follows is different now. It is not the silence of fear, but of struggle. Angulimala lowers his eyes, as though ashamed to meet the calm gaze before him. His sword drops a fraction lower, though he has not released it. His chest heaves, not only with rage, but with something new, something raw, and in that silence, you realize that the battle has already begun. Not between steel and flesh, but between illusion and truth. The Buddha's words cut deeper than any blade, slicing through the layers of hatred to touch something buried long ago. The forest seems to lean in closer, as though waiting for the next moment. Angulimala looks back up, eyes wet but burning, caught between fury and the weight of recognition. His lips part, as if to speak, but no words come, only the sound of his breath, ragged, uneven. The Buddha remains still, waiting. He does not press, does not demand. He simply lets the silence breathe, knowing the words already spoken are enough. The night holds steady, poised between collapse and awakening, and as the air thickens around them, you sense that Angulimala's next move will decide everything, because soon the sword will press closer, and the test of compassion will sharpen to its edge. The sword at the throat. The clearing tightens around them, every tree holding its breath. Angulimala's eyes blaze as if the calm words of the Buddha are flames that burn deeper than wounds. He can't bear it. Rage rises like a tide, and in one violent motion, he lifts the sword higher and slams it forward until the cold edge hovers at the Buddha's throat. The blade gleams in the silver light, so close you imagine the slightest movement could cut skin. The air feels brittle, as though it might shatter. Angulimala leans closer, his teeth bared, his breath hot with fury. "Do not mock me, monk," he growls, voice trembling not with weakness, but with a storm he can no longer control. "I could end you here, and no one would dare speak your name again." Any other man would have begged. Any other man would have dropped to the ground, heart pounding, desperate to survive. But the Buddha stands unmoving, eyes soft, gaze steady, not on the weapon, but on the man who wields it. His voice, when it comes, is calm enough to silence the crickets that should have been singing in the night. You believe you hold power because you hold a sword. But true power is not in ending life. It is in protecting it. The strength you cling to is only fear wearing armor. The words slip past the blade as though it isn't there. Angulimala snarls louder, pressing the weapon closer until it touches skin. The sharp steel gleams, dangerous and final. You speak lies, he spits. Humanity has no compassion. Men are cruel, women deceitful, children weak. I've seen it. I've lived it. There is no love in this world, only betrayal. That is why I kill. That is why I cut. The Buddha does not blink. His reply is as gentle as if he were speaking to a child. Yes, men have harmed you. Yes, cruelty exists, but anger and hatred are not the only children of this world. Compassion, too, is born in every human heart. You cannot see it now because the cloth of rage covers your eyes. Remove it, and you will see that love has been with you all along. The words hang there, suspended in the dark. For the first time, Angulimala's hand trembles. The sword wavers against the Buddha's throat. His jaw tightens, his chest heaves, but doubt has entered where once there was only fury. You feel the tension crackling, like the moment just before lightning strikes. It is not only his hand that trembles, it is his certainty. What happens when a man who has built his entire life on hatred is shown a mirror of compassion? The reflection is almost too much to bear. Pause with me here. Imagine holding your anger so close it feels like your only shield, only to be told it is the very thing chaining you. How would it feel to let go? Terrifying, perhaps, but maybe also freeing. If this thought resonates, hold it or share it. You never know whose chains might loosen when you speak. Angulimala's voice cracks as he growls, "No!" If compassion were real, I would have seen it. If love existed, it would not have abandoned me. His words are not strong anymore. They are wounded. They carry the sound of a boy betrayed, a man broken, a life twisted by pain. The Buddha's gaze softens further. Love did not abandon you. You turned from it, but it waits still, patient as the dawn waits even through the longest night. The sword trembles harder now. A drop of sweat falls from Angulimala's temple onto the blade, sliding down its length. His hand quivers, his breath ragged. The clearing is silent except for his struggle. The Buddha stands still, not resisting, not retreating, letting the storm break upon him like waves against stone. The night itself feels as though it balances on the edge of that sword. One motion could spill blood. One word could shatter fury, and the question, hanging heavy in the silence, is which way Angulimala will lean. Because soon, the blade will not only test the Buddha, it will test Angulimala's own heart. The calm reply. The sword trembles in the air, the steel pressed close enough to feel the coldness of death itself. The night has shrunk to this single moment, this edge between life and violence. Angulimala's face is twisted with rage, but beneath it, a flicker of something else, something unsettled. The Buddha does not flinch. His voice rises through the heavy silence, calm, steady, almost like the breeze that moves gently through the branches above. "You see only cruelty," he says softly, "because you have chosen to look only there. But cruelty is not the whole of life. Every person you have met, every victim you have cut down, they were more than their fear. They were mothers, fathers, children, each carrying love within them, and that love still exists, even if you have turned your face away." The words slip through the night like clear water, cutting deeper than the blade ever could. Angulimala snarls in protest, his voice cracking. No! Love is weakness. Kindness is a lie. I have seen nothing but betrayal. I have been cast out, cheated, mocked. Do not speak to me of love. It is an illusion for the blind. The Buddha's eyes do not move from his. They are steady, not accusing, not pleading, but seeing. You mistake your pain for truth. Yes, people wrong one another. Yes, hatred exists. But have you not seen mothers cradle their children? Have you not seen a stranger offer food to the hungry? The world is not blind to kindness. You are. Your rage covers your eyes like a cloth, and you choose to keep it there. The sword shakes in Angulimala's grip. The hand that once struck without hesitation now trembles with uncertainty. He tightens his jaw, forcing words through clenched teeth. You speak like I can simply remove this cloth, as if it were that easy. It is not easy, the Buddha answers, but it is possible. Every man has the power to shift his gaze, to let compassion rise within him. It begins not with others, but with yourself. Even now, you could let go. Even now, you could see the forest is silent. Even the wind seems to pause to listen. Angulimala's breath is ragged, his chest rising and falling in sharp bursts. His eyes dart wildly, as though searching the darkness for proof that the Buddha lies. Yet the calm face before him reflects only truth, and it unsettles him more than fear ever could. Imagine this moment for yourself. How often do you cover your own eyes with anger, convinced the world is only darkness? How often do you believe kindness does not exist, simply because pain has been louder? Take a slow breath here. Consider if there is a cloth you still hold over your own eyes. What would it mean to set it down, even for a moment? If this thought resonates, share it. Sometimes when one person admits they are ready to see differently, others find the courage to follow. Angulimala swallows hard, his blade still raised but trembling. He speaks again, but his tone has changed, less raw, more brokenness. And if I let go, what will I see? If I stop killing, if I stop taking, who will I be? Without fear, I am nothing. Without violence, I am no one. The Buddha's answer is immediate, as though he has been waiting for that very question. You will be what you have always been. Human. Beneath all the blood, beneath the rage, you are a man with the same capacity for love and compassion as anyone else. You cannot destroy that truth, no matter how deep you bury it. The sword wavers again. Angulimala's eyes sting, not with fury, but with something unfamiliar. Tears he does not want to shed. His lips part, struggling to speak, but words fail him. His chest heaves, his arm trembles, the weight of his weapon suddenly heavier than it has ever been. The Buddha does not move. He simply stands, allowing silence to hold them both, trusting the truth to work its way deeper. His stillness is not passive. It is powerful, a mirror that reflects what Angulimala has tried so long to deny. The clearing is charged with tension, but the current has shifted. Angulimala is no longer only the predator. He is a man standing at the edge of a choice, his heart pulled between the chains of his past and the faint light of another path. The sword still lingers at the Buddha's throat, but the decision is no longer about whether to strike. It is about whether to see. And soon, he must choose. Breaking the illusion. The blade still hovers in the night air, but it no longer feels sharp. What cuts now is not the steel, but the weight of words pressing deep into Angulimala's chest. His arm trembles, his jaw clenches, his eyes dart away from the Buddha's gaze as though afraid of what he might see reflected there. For the first time in years, he feels weak. Not because of the man before him, but because of himself. A rush of anger tries to fill the cracks, the old habit of rage rising like a tide to drown doubt. He bares his teeth, forcing a snarl. No, I am feared. I am power. I am more than human. I have slain monks stronger than you. I have broken men with one stroke. You will not undo me with words. His voice roars, but beneath the roar there is a tremor, like a tower shaking at its foundation. The Buddha does not answer quickly. He waits, letting the echo of Angulimala's fury fade into the forest. Only when silence returns does he speak, his tone quiet, almost like a whisper carried on wind. What you call power is only chain. Each life you take binds you tighter. You believe you are free, but you have never been more bound. The words land again, sharper than the edge of the sword. Angulimala's hand quivers. His lips part as though to protest, but no sound comes. Deep inside, he knows there is truth here, though it burns to admit it. He growls again, forcing the mask of rage back onto his face. I am not weak. I cannot be broken. But even as he says it, the sword dips lower, his hand shaking violently. His eyes sting with something unfamiliar, tears threatening to fall. The Buddha steps forward, slow, deliberate. His voice remains steady. No one is asking you to be weak. To drop this sword is not weakness, it is strength. It is the strength to choose compassion over anger, to choose freedom over chains. Angulimala's breath catches. His chest heaves. He has built his life on the illusion that killing made him strong, that fear made him invincible. But here, under the weight of the Buddha's gaze, that illusion begins to crack. He feels it like glass shattering inside him, and the emptiness behind it terrifies him. Pause here with me. Think about the illusions you've clung to, the stories you've told yourself to survive. Maybe it was anger, maybe pride, maybe the belief that you could not change. What happens when those illusions begin to break? It feels like weakness, but it is the first step towards something real. If this reflection stirs something in you, share it. You might find that others have stood in the same place, facing the same cracks in their own armor. Angulimala staggers back a half step, sword still in hand, but lowered. His face is twisted with confusion. Why do I feel this way? He mutters, almost to himself. Why does your calm make me feel smaller than any blade has ever done? The Buddha's reply is simple. Because you are seeing yourself, not the monster you pretend to be. And seeing truth always feels like breaking. The night is thick with tension, but the edge of violence has dulled. Angulimala's rage, once a fire that consumed all before him, now flickers uncertain, a flame sputtering in the wind of compassion. His eyes glisten, his chest heaves, his sword hangs heavy in his hand. For the first time, he does not know who he is. The illusion of power is unraveling, and the man beneath is struggling to emerge. It is painful, raw, almost unbearable. But it is also the beginning of freedom. The clearing waits, holding this fragile moment like glass that could shatter or transform. And soon, Angulimala must face the truth fully, because once an illusion breaks, there is no returning to blindness. Not different, just awake. The clearing holds the two of them in a silence that feels alive, as though every branch and stone is waiting. Angulimala's chest rises and falls hard, the sword heavy in his hand, his mask of rage cracked by words that keep piercing deeper than steel. His voice finally breaks through the stillness, jagged and uncertain. "You are not like other men. They all tremble before me. They all beg. But you..." He falters, eyes narrowing, searching for the right accusation. "You are different. You must be more than human." The Buddha does not step back, does not avert his gaze. His answer comes with the same quiet steadiness as before. "I am not more than human. I am simply awake. What you see in me is what exists in every man, in every woman, in every child. The difference is not power, it is awareness. I have chosen to walk a path free of cruelty, and so my heart is still. That is all." The words ripple out, simple yet heavy. Angulimala stares at him, disbelief flashing across his face. "Awake? You call this calm, this fearlessness, nothing more than being awake?" His laugh is bitter, sharp, though it sounds more like a wounded cry than mockery. "If every man could do this, why has no one else faced me without terror?" The Buddha tilts his head slightly, eyes soft, voice low. "Because they have not yet remembered. Because they have not yet chosen. Awakening is not a gift given to a few. It is a seed within everyone, waiting to be tended. I am no different from you, Angulimala. I am no different from any man. I simply chose to see the words sting more than accusation. For years, Angulimala has lived on the belief that he is set apart, cursed into violence, defined by blood. But here stands someone who strips away that illusion, telling him that the very thing he thought impossible, peace is not beyond reach. It is within him, waiting. He shakes his head violently, trying to silence the thought. "No, I cannot. I am too far gone. I have killed too many. The hands that hold this sword will never be clean again." His voice rises, cracking with grief hidden beneath anger. The Buddha does not waver. The past cannot be undone. But the future is unshaped. A man is not chained forever by the steps he has taken. Even you can turn. Even now the sword dips lower, trembling. Angulimala looks down at his own hands, stained, scarred, trembling with the weight of every life they have taken. For the first time he sees not just strength, but the cost. He whispers, almost to himself, "Then what am I? If not cursed, if not condemned, what am I?" The Buddha steps closer, his voice gentle, steady, a balm against the storm. "You are human. No more, no less. That is all you have ever been. And within humanity lies both cruelty and compassion. The choice of which to walk is yours." The clearing grows still again. Angulimala's lips tremble. His eyes sting with unshed tears. For so long, he has been seen as monster, demon, nightmare. But here, in the gaze of this monk, he is seen as something he had forgotten existed. A man. Pause with me here. Imagine being defined by your worst mistake, told again and again that you are nothing but the monster others see. How powerful would it be for someone to look past all of that and call you human? To remind you that you can still choose? If this thought touches you, take it in, or share it, because someone else might need to hear the same reminder tonight. Angulimala's shoulders sag, the fight inside him faltering. His sword dangles at his side now, no longer steady, no longer sure. He looks at the Buddha with eyes that are not only angry but broken, searching for a truth he doesn't want to admit but cannot deny. And the Buddha waits, not pressing, not pushing. He lets silence hold the weight, trusting that the truth is already working its way through. The forest breathes again, branches swaying lightly in the wind. The moon glints off the steel of the sword still in Angulimala's hand. The question lingers in the air, sharp and alive. Will he cling to the darkness that has defined him, or will he step toward the awakening that has been offered? Because soon the choice will no longer wait. The falling sword, the clearing is still, yet the air feels heavy as though the whole forest is pressing down. Angulimala's grip on the sword is loose now, his arm trembling not from weakness, but from the weight of everything crashing inside him. The Buddha's words echo again and again in his chest. You are human. You can still choose. His eyes dart between the weapon in his hand and the calm figure before him. That weapon has been his identity, his power, his shield. Without it, who is he? He has been the terror of villages, the shadow whispered in the night, the man no one dared to face. And yet here, facing one man who does not flinch, his power feels hollow, empty. His breath comes in jagged bursts, fury fighting with a pain he can no longer ignore. His lips part, his voice breaking. I don't understand. Why do you not fear me? Why do you not hate me? Everyone else calls me a monster. But you look at me as though I'm something else. Why? The Buddha steps closer, unhurried, his gaze steady, because hatred only feeds the fire you are trapped in. I will not feed it. I see the man beneath the chains. That is who I speak to. The words land hard. Angulimala's arm trembles, his sword rattling slightly as the tip dips toward the ground. His whole body shakes, as though every ounce of rage he has carried is cracking open. Tears well in his eyes, hot and unbidden, spilling down his scarred face. For years, he has silenced the voice inside him that longed to be seen, to be forgiven. Tonight, in this clearing, that voice breaks free. With a strangled cry, the sword slips from his hand and clatters against the stones at his feet. The sound is sharp, final, echoing into the trees like a bell ringing the end of war. He falls to his knees, his chest heaving, his hands covering his face as sobs tear through him. The Buddha does not move to claim victory. He does not step back in triumph. He simply stands, allowing Angulimala's collapse to happen, steady as a mountain while a storm passes. For the first time in years, Angulimala is not the predator. He is simply a man, broken, trembling, stripped of the illusion that violence was strength. His sobs carry through the clearing, raw and unguarded. The garland of fingers swings against his chest, a grotesque reminder of his past, but even that feels different now, less like power, more like chains too heavy to bear. Pause with me here. Imagine dropping the very thing you thought gave you strength, only to discover it had been holding you captive all along. It is terrifying, but it is also the first true breath of freedom. What sword are you still carrying? What would it sound like if you let it fall? If you want, share it. Sometimes saying it out loud is like hearing the clatter of steel on stone in your own life. Angulimala looks up through his tears, his voice broken, almost childlike. What do I do now? I cannot undo what I have done. I cannot erase the blood. I cannot bring them back. How can there be a path forward for me? The Buddha steps forward until his shadow falls over the man. He bends slightly, his eyes soft but unshaken. You cannot change what has been, but you can choose what begins now. Every man can start again. This is your moment to begin. Angulimala trembles, the words hitting like both comfort and torment. His lips shake, unable to form a reply. His tears soak the earth. His shoulders sag with exhaustion from carrying years of violence. The sword lies beside him, cold and forgotten. Its silence speaks louder than his roars ever did. The forest exhales. The branches sway lightly, as if the trees themselves have witnessed something sacred. A man who was once death incarnate has let his weapon fall. But surrender is not the end. It is only the threshold. Because now comes the hardest step, not dropping the sword, but learning to walk without it. The confession. The sword lies quiet on the ground, no longer a weapon but a shadow of what it once represented. Angulimala kneels in the dirt, his body shaking with sobs that seem torn from years of silence. His hands press against his face, as though he cannot bear to be seen. The forest listens. The night carries his weeping like a sound it has long awaited. Slowly, he lowers his hands, his eyes swollen, his cheeks wet. He looks up at the Buddha, and his voice cracks as he speaks. I have killed. I have spilled blood without mercy. I have taken mothers from their children, sons from their fathers. I have stolen life as if it were nothing. How can you stand before me and call me human? His words tumble out, rushed, desperate, like water bursting through a dam. He does not stop. I believed there was no other way. I believed the darkness was my fate, and yet now, here in your eyes, I see something I cannot bear. You see a man, but I am not a man. I am a murderer. I am cursed. The Buddha remains still, his expression soft, unshaken. He listens, each word allowed to breathe in the night. When Angulimala pauses, choking on his grief, the Buddha answers, voice calm and firm. You are both, Angulimala. You are a man, and you have killed. One truth does not erase the other, but the man in you is not gone. He has spoken tonight through your tears, through the sword you dropped. That voice has always been waiting. Angulimala shakes his head violently, his breath ragged. But it is too late. The blood is already on my hands. Even if I change, even if I walk away from the path of killing, the world will not forget. The people will never forgive me. I will always be hated. The Buddha takes a step closer, his shadow stretching across the fallen sword. The past cannot be undone, but the future is unwritten. What others see in you is their burden. What you choose now is yours. Hatred may follow you, distrust may surround you, but if you walk with compassion, no hatred can chain your heart. The words press deep into the clearing. Angulimala looks down at his hands, scarred, trembling, stained with memory. His shoulders slump. And if I try, he whispers, if I take a single step toward good, what if it is not enough? What if I can never repay what I have done? The Buddha's reply is gentle, yet strong. It is not about repayment. It is about transformation. Each step you take toward compassion plants a seed. Some will never believe you have changed, but the change is not for them. It is for you, and for those who will feel the peace you choose instead of the violence you once gave. Angulimala's tears flow freely again. His voice lowers to a whisper. Then guide me. Show me how to begin. I am afraid. I do not know how to live without fear, without violence. The Buddha does not extend his hand in command. He does not declare victory. He simply says, "You have already begun." Tonight, when your sword fell, your new life started. Do not ask for the whole path. Take only the first step, and the next will follow. Pause here with me. Think about the weight of regret you may carry. How often have you told yourself it is too late, that you cannot undo what has been done? But perhaps it is not about undoing. Perhaps it is about beginning again. Even if the world doubts you, if this idea stirs something, sit with it or share it, because others may need the courage to take their first step too. The clearing feels lighter now, as though the very air has shifted. Angulimala wipes his face with his hands, his eyes red but clearer than before. He bows his head low, pressing his forehead to the ground. If it is true, if there is still a path for me, then I will walk it. I do not know where it leads. I do not know if I can bear the burden, but I will follow. The Buddha looks upon him, his face calm, his presence unwavering. The path is not free of burden, but it is free of chains. Walk with me, and you will learn the forest exhales once more. The garland of fingers still hangs from Angulimala's neck, but its meaning has changed. It is no longer a mark of terror. It is a reminder of where he has been and why he cannot return. The man who was feared by all has confessed, his illusions shattered, his heart cracked open. But confession alone is not transformation, because now the question is whether he will stand again and take that first step. Nothing is impossible. The clearing feels softer now, though the night is just as dark. The sword lies forgotten. The man who once carried it bent low in confession. His voice is quieted, but the echo of his doubts still hangs in the air. It is too late. I have gone too far. The words circle like restless birds, unwilling to leave him. The Buddha watches him silently, giving space for the storm inside to settle. Then, with a calmness that feels like dawn itself, he speaks. Angulimala, nothing is impossible. You believe you are trapped by your past, but the chains exist only because you hold them. Whenever you wake, it is your morning. You can begin again from this very breath. The words ripple outward, simple yet profound. Angulimala lifts his head slowly, his eyes swollen, his face streaked with tears and dirt. How can you say that? Look at me. Look at what I have done. Even if I rise, even if I walk with you, people will still spit at my name. They will never let me forget. The Buddha nods gently, not in agreement but in understanding. Yes, the world may remember. Yes, some will hate you still, but their hatred cannot stop your heart from choosing differently. The path is not about what others allow you to be. It is about what you decide to become. Angulimala's lips tremble, his breath heavy. But the blood is real. The deaths are real. No step I take now can erase them. The Buddha's gaze does not falter. No, you cannot erase. You cannot undo. But you can transform. Every act of compassion you offer now stands against what has been. Every moment of peace you choose now tells the world that violence is not the only path. Your past is a story written, Isabel. Your future is still blank. The words strike something inside Angulimala, an ember buried under years of ashes. His eyes widen, not with rage, but with the fragile spark of hope. He whispers, almost afraid to let the sound out. "And if I begin today, does that mean I am forgiven?" The Buddha answers softly, "Forgiveness is not a gift someone gives you. It is a seed you plant within yourself. Each step you take waters it. Each act of kindness lets it grow. Whether others forgive you or not, you can learn to live free." Angulimala lowers his gaze again, his tears dripping onto the earth. The soil beneath him seems to drink them in, as if the forest itself is listening, ready to hold this moment of change. Pause here with me. How many times have you told yourself it was too late to start again, too late to repair, too late to heal? The truth is, morning begins the moment you open your eyes to it. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can choose this breath, this step, this dawn. If you feel this truth stirring in you, share it. It might be the light someone else needs tonight. Angulimala presses his palms to the ground, his body trembling as he kneels. His voice is still broken, but it carries a new note, faint but steady. "Then let this be my morning. If nothing is impossible, let me rise. Teach me, guide me, show me how to live differently." The Buddha places no crown on his head, no command upon his shoulders. He only nods once, firm and calm. "Stand, Angulimala. The dawn has already begun." The killer who was once feared above all now trembles in the dirt, not because of a sword, but because of the possibility of change. His hands still shake, his past still clings, but something has shifted. A new beginning has stepped into the night. The forest sways softly, branches whispering in the breeze, as though the world itself has witnessed a rebirth. The garland of fingers at Angulimala's neck no longer shines with menace. It hangs heavy with memory, a reminder of what must never be repeated. The night holds this fragile hope carefully, as though it knows how easily it could shatter, but also how powerful it can grow. And soon, the test will move beyond the forest, beyond this clearing, into the eyes of those who still fear him. The new path. The forest feels quieter now, though no less vast. The clearing where sword and rage once ruled has shifted into a place of stillness. Angulimala kneels, his chest heaving, his hands stained by memory, yet lighter somehow without the weapon that once defined him. He looks at the Buddha, eyes still wide with uncertainty. "You speak of new beginnings. But how do I know this is real? How do I know this change isn't just another illusion?" The Buddha's gaze remains steady, his presence unshaken. "Because you already know the difference between right and wrong. That is why your heart feels heavy. If you were only darkness, you would not feel sorrow. But the moment you recognize harm, you have begun to awaken. That recognition is the seed of transformation." Angulimala lowers his head, his voice trembling. "Then why does it hurt so much? If this is awakening, why does it feel like breaking apart?" "Because awakening is the end of illusion," the Buddha replies gently. "When you shatter what has chained you, the breaking feels painful. But beneath it lies freedom. The wound you feel now is not death, it is birth." The words settle into the clearing like soft rain on parched ground. Angulimala presses his palms against the earth as though steadying himself. "If I accept this path, will it erase the voices? The screams of those I killed? They still follow me. Will they ever leave?" The Buddha steps closer, his tone low and compassionate. No, the voices will not vanish overnight, but with each act of kindness, their echo will soften. With each compassionate step, their weight will lessen. What once haunted you will become the reminder of why you must never return. Angulimala's eyes close tightly, his breath shaking. He whispers, almost to himself, "Then I have much to carry." "Yes," the Buddha answers, "but you no longer carry it alone. Every good act you choose is a companion. Every life you respect is a lantern on your path. You will find strength not in forgetting, but in living differently. Pause here with me. Think about the mistakes you carry, the ones that whisper in the quiet of your nights. You may believe they disqualify you from change, but the very fact that they ache inside you proves you know another way is possible. That ache is not your end, it is your beginning. If this truth resonates, take a breath. Share it if you wish. Others may find courage in knowing they are not alone in their breaking. Angulimala opens his eyes again, wet with tears but clearer now. And if I take this step, if I walk this path, what if I fall again? What if the rage returns? The Buddha's face softens further. Then, rise again. Even if you fall 100 times, rise 101. The path is not measured by perfection, but by persistence. What matters is not how many times you stumble, but that you continue to walk toward compassion. The words strike him deeply. For so long, Angulimala believed his path was fixed, his identity sealed by violence. To hear that even falling is allowed, that rising is enough, it feels like water to a man long lost in desert heat. The garland of fingers swings lightly against his chest, no longer a symbol of terror, but of memory. He lifts it in his hand, staring at it with disgust and sorrow. His voice breaks again. And what of this? Will people not always see me as this monster, marked by what I wear? The Buddha's reply is quiet, yet firm. Let it be your reminder, not your chain. The world may see your past, but your heart can show your present. Over time, even those who fear you will see the man who has changed. But first, you must see him yourself. The clearing feels lighter still, as if the forest itself has leaned closer to witness this fragile shift. Angulimala's hands shake as he lowers the garland back against his chest. But now his head bows in something close to humility. His body trembles, yet there is resolve in the tremble, a faint strength in the cracks. The Buddha does not press further. He allows silence to fill the air, trusting that the seed planted tonight has begun to root. And in that silence, Angulimala breathes slow, heavy, but for the first time in years, with a thread of peace. The night has turned. The man who once hunted in these woods now sits in surrender, listening to a voice that tells him he is not beyond redemption. But change in a clearing is one thing. Change in the eyes of the world is another. And soon, he must walk into the village that still fears his name. The fear of others. The forest is quiet, but Angulimala's heart is not. He sits low to the ground, his body weary from a lifetime of violence and the weight of his confession. The sword is gone, his tears still damp, yet his mind stirs with new shadows. He lifts his face toward the Buddha, eyes filled not with rage now, but with dread. His voice trembles. Even if I walk with you, even if I change, the people will never accept me. They will remember what I have done. They will hate me. They will chase me away. How can I live when the whole world will see only the murderer I was? The Buddha does not answer immediately. He lets the words settle, as if giving them space to reveal their depth. Then gently he replies, "Yes, they may hate you. Yes, they may fear you, but their fear does not decide who you are. Your path is not measured by their voices. It is measured by your steps." Angulimala's hands clench into fists, not in anger, but in despair. "I have destroyed too much. Their hatred will follow me everywhere. I will never know peace." The Buddha steps closer, his shadow stretching across the dirt where Angulimala kneels. Peace does not come from how others see you. Peace begins within. If you abandon violence, if you choose compassion, the world may still spit at your name, but your heart will be free. And a free heart cannot be touched by their hatred. The words are simple, yet they weigh heavy in the night. Angulimala bows his head, his voice breaking. "But what if their hatred breaks me? What if I cannot bear it?" The Buddha's tone deepens, steady as stone. "Then let me bear it with you. Walk with me, and I will shield you. Their hatred cannot destroy the truth of who you choose to become, but you must take the first step. No one can walk it for you." The night air feels softer now, though still thick with memory. Angulimala wipes his face, his shoulders slumping. He whispers, "I do not deserve your protection. I do not deserve to walk beside you." The Buddha kneels so that their eyes meet, his voice low but unshaken. Deserving is not the question. Choosing is. If you choose compassion, if you choose peace, then you already walk the path. Whether you believe yourself worthy or not, the path will hold you. Pause with me here. How often do we let the fear of others' judgment hold us back from change? How often do we chain ourselves to their opinions, believing that if they cannot forgive, then we cannot begin again? But your life is not their judgment. Your life is your choice. If this resonates with you, let it stay with you, or share it. Someone else may be waiting for permission to step forward despite the voices against them. Angulimala looks down again, his fingers curling around the earth. He takes a shaky breath, then another, as though teaching himself how to breathe as a new man. Slowly, he nods. "Then I will walk, even if the world despises me. I will walk because you say the path is still open." The Buddha places a hand lightly upon his shoulder. The gesture is simple, but in it lies the weight of recognition. The path does not open because I say so. It opens because you are ready. And tonight, you are ready. The forest seems to sigh in relief. The tension of violence has given way to the fragile beginning of peace. Yet Angulimala's fear is not gone. It lingers, coiled within him, whispering of the villagers' hatred, of the rejection to come. But in the calm of the Buddha's presence, even that fear feels softer, less final. Perhaps hatred will follow, perhaps forgiveness will not come easily. Yet the choice to walk differently is his alone. The night begins to thin, a hint of dawn stirring at the edges of the sky. The darkness is still heavy, but a trace of light presses forward. It is subtle, almost hidden, and yet it is enough to remind you that morning is never far, once you choose to rise. And soon, Angulimala will test this new resolve, not in the solitude of the forest, but in the eyes of the very people he once terrorized. The promise of protection. The forest feels like it is holding its breath again, though the weight of danger has softened into something else. Angulimala's shoulders are hunched, his face streaked with tears, his voice raw. "Even if I walk with you, they will not let me live. They will curse my name. They will drive me away. Some may even seek my death. I cannot escape what I have done. The Buddha's presence remains calm, as though the fear pouring from Angulimala cannot touch him. He places his hand gently on the man's shoulder, steady and warm. If you abandon violence, he says, I will walk beside you. If you choose compassion, I will protect you. Their hatred cannot destroy the truth of who you are becoming. Let their anger be theirs. Let your peace be yours. Angulimala shakes his head violently, almost in disbelief. You would protect me. After all I have done, you would stand with me. Yes, the Buddha answers softly, because your first step matters more than all the steps that came before. A man who has lived in darkness and turns toward light is stronger than one who has never known night. I will stand with you, but the choice must be yours. No one can force your hand. The man's body trembles. He looks down at his hands, scarred and stained, the same hands that once held the sword, now empty and shaking. And if I fail? If anger returns? If I harm again? The Buddha's gaze is unwavering. Then rise again. Each time you choose compassion, you water the seed of peace within you. It will grow. You will stumble, yes, but I will not leave you. Walk with me, and you will not walk alone. The words strike him like a bell ringing through the fog. Angulimala's lips quiver, and his voice falls into a whisper. No one has ever promised to stand with me. No one has ever seen me as more than what I have done. The Buddha's voice is like still water. Now you must learn to see yourself as more. The moment you stop defining yourself by your past, you step into the freedom of your future. Pause here with me. Think about the chains you carry, the mistakes that echo in your mind. How often have you let them define you, believing that because others remember, you can never change? But what if change is not about erasing memory, but walking forward with a new truth? If this reflection touches you, let it settle in, or share it so others may find courage to begin even with the weight of their pasts. Angulimala bows his head, his tears falling again, but this time they feel lighter, not just sorrow, but release. Then, hear me, he says, voice shaking but resolute. I will not lift my hand in violence again. I will not take another life. If compassion is a path, I will walk it. Even if the world hates me, I will walk it. The Buddha's hand lingers on his shoulder, firm now, a seal of acknowledgement. Then, tonight you have chosen. Tonight you are free. The clearing seems to exhale, the tension easing like a storm that has finally passed. The sword still lies in the dirt, untouched, while the garland at Angulimala's chest feels heavier now, not as power, but as memory. The forest has witnessed a vow, a turning point no less real than dawn breaking after the longest night. The sky above is shifting, the stars beginning to fade, the faintest trace of light brushing the horizon. Angulimala breathes deep, his chest rising with something new. Not rage, not fear, but the fragile beginnings of peace. The Buddha steps back slightly, as if to let the man find his own footing. The villagers will see you again, he says calmly. They will remember their fear. But I will stand with you. Let them see not the sword in your hand, but the change in your heart. Let your actions speak. Over time, even stone can be worn smooth by water. The promise lingers in the air, solid as earth beneath their feet. Angulimala wipes his face, lifts his eyes, and nods slowly. For the first time in years, he looks less like a predator and more like a man ready to learn how to walk again. But promises made in the dark must be tested in the light, and soon the light of morning will reveal whether his vow can endure the gaze of those who fear him most. The surrender. The night is thinning now, and the forest carries a faint promise of dawn. The moonlight softens, and the first hint of pale silver edges across the horizon. In the clearing, Angulimala's body sags, as though the weight of years is sliding off his shoulders. His hands rest against the dirt, his chest still shaking, but his voice comes clear, almost steady. "I cannot walk this path alone," he whispers. "I have lived in darkness too long. My hands are stained, my soul is heavy. But tonight, if what you say is true, that I can begin again, then I give myself fully to this new way. I surrender. Show me how to walk." His words fall heavy into the silence, and for a long moment the Buddha does not answer. He only looks at the man before him, broken but unbowed, raw yet willing. Then, in that calm tone that has carried every truth through the night, he says, "You do not surrender to me. You surrender to compassion. You surrender to the path of peace. It is not my way. It is yours, waiting for you to choose it." Angulimala bows low, his forehead pressed to the earth. The garland at his neck swings forward, clinking softly against the ground. He grips it with trembling hands, staring at the proof of every life he has taken. His tears wet the necklace, as if each drop is a silent prayer for the souls bound to those fragments. He lifts his head, eyes swollen but clear, and speaks again. "Then let me leave this behind. Let me leave the monster, the killer, the beast they fear. I will follow you. I will follow the path, even if it is long, even if it is hard. From this moment, my life is not my own. I surrender it to compassion." The Buddha nods once, slow and deliberate, his eyes warm, his presence vast. "Then, tonight is the night of your rebirth. No chains remain but the ones you choose to hold. If you walk forward with honesty and compassion, you are free." The forest seems to listen, as though the trees themselves bow with him. The breeze stirs lightly, carrying away the last sharp edge of the night. Pause with me here. Think of what it means to surrender, not to give up, but to let go of what has been breaking you, to stop fighting the truth and allow yourself to be carried by it. Sometimes surrender is the bravest thing you can do. Sometimes it is the only door to peace. If this reflection speaks to you, sit with it or share it, because you never know who else is waiting for permission to lay down their burden. Angulimala presses his palms together, the gesture clumsy but sincere. His voice quivers as he looks at the Buddha. "Then take me as your disciple. Teach me. I am ready to leave everything behind." The Buddha answers with quiet strength, "I do not take disciples. A man chooses his own path. But if you choose to walk with me, the path will hold you, and I will not turn you away." The words release something inside Angulimala. His tears come again, not only sorrow but relief. He leans forward, pressing his forehead to the earth once more, not in fear, not in defeat, but in devotion. The clearing glows faintly now with the first blush of morning. A new day approaches, and with it, a new life. Angulimala's surrender is complete, not to a man, not to a master, but to the truth he has denied for too long. The forest exhales, and dawn breathes softly through the branches. But beyond these trees, the villagers wait, their fear still sharp, their anger still alive. And soon, the man who surrendered in darkness must face the light of their judgment. Becoming a monk. The first strands of dawn slide between the trees, thin threads of gold weaving across the clearing. Angulimala kneels still, his tears drying, his breath heavy but steadier now. The garland at his chest feels heavier than iron, and with trembling hands he lifts it away. For the first time, he does not see it as power. He sees it for what it is: pain, memory, a burden. Slowly, with a deep exhale, he lowers it to the ground. It lands softly, without the clatter of the sword, as though the forest itself absorbs it in silence. He raises his eyes toward the Buddha. "I have nothing left," he says, his voice cracked yet sure. "No sword, no path, no name, but the one drenched in blood. If there is truly a way forward, then I ask you, let me walk it with you. Make me your disciple." The Buddha looks down at him, eyes calm, his presence vast but gentle. His words are steady. "I do not make disciples. A man becomes what he chooses. If you wish to walk in compassion, you have already chosen. If you wish to leave violence behind, the path is already beneath your feet." Angulimala presses his palms together, bowing lower. "Then I choose. I leave behind the man they feared. I leave behind the beast I believed myself to be. From this moment, I walk only in compassion." The Buddha nods once, and though the gesture is small, it carries the weight of a vow. "Then rise, Angulimala. You are not what you were. You are a monk now, not because I named you, but because you chose it." The words fall like the first clear rays of sun. And for the first time, Angulimala smiles faintly through his tears. It is not joy, not yet, but a release, as though his chest has loosened after years of chains. He stands shakily, his body sore from kneeling, his shoulders lighter without the sword, without the garland. The forest greets him with a soft breeze, carrying away the remnants of night. Pause here with me. Think about what it means to choose. No one else can force it on you. No one else can hand it to you. Transformation begins when you decide, when you rise from the place where you fell and say, "I will walk differently now." If this touches something in you, let it breathe. And if you wish, share it, because your choice might inspire someone else to rise too. The Buddha gestures toward the edge of the forest, toward the village that still hides behind barred doors and shuttered windows. "The people will not understand yet," he says. "They will see you as you were, not as you are. But do not let their fear turn you back. Walk gently. Let your actions show the truth." Angulimala bows again, deeper this time, and answers with steady breath, "Then I will walk with you. Not with a sword, not with chains, but with open hands." The clearing glows brighter with the light of morning. A new day has begun, and with it, a new life. The man who once counted his power in fingers now counts his steps in compassion. The silence of the forest is no longer heavy with fear. It is alive with the sound of beginnings. The path back to the village waits, and with it, the test of his vow. Fear will meet him there. Anger will meet him there. But for the first time, Angulimala does not dread the path. He longs for it, ready to walk into the light, not as the killer they remember, but as the monk he has chosen to become. The Buddha steps forward, and Angulimala follows, the dawn spreading across the trees like a promise. The forest opens before them, guiding their steps toward the village. But the villagers are not yet ready to believe, and soon their fear will rise again. Transformation. The forest begins to thin as the Buddha and Angulimala walk side by side. The night has loosened its grip, and the sky above stretches pale with the first brush of morning. Each step Angulimala takes feels strange, almost foreign, as though his feet are learning a new language. For so long, every stride was heavy with violence, chasing fear and feeding rage. Now, with no sword at his side and no hatred to propel him, his walk feels lighter, though uncertain. He glances at the Buddha, who moves with the same unbroken calm as always. There is no hurry in his steps, no weight on his shoulders. His presence is both anchor and lantern, steady enough that the path ahead seems less terrifying. Angulimala exhales, as if borrowing strength from that silence. Behind them, the clearing holds the remnants of a life abandoned, the sword, the garland, the shadows of screams. Before them, the path stretches into light. Transformation has begun, though it still feels fragile, as though the old life could call him back at any moment. He clenches his hands, not in anger now, but to remind himself they are empty. Empty hands, ready for something new. The Buddha speaks gently as they walk. The man you were is not gone. He will follow you for a time. His voice will whisper when you are weak. But remember, he is only memory. Each step you take now is proof that you are no longer his prisoner. Angulimala nods slowly, his throat tight. I feel him even now, he admits. The urge to take, the urge to strike. It has not vanished. Of course, the Buddha replies. Habits cling like vines. But each time you choose compassion, the vines loosen. With patience, they will fall away. Do not expect silence overnight. Expect practice. The words settle deep, grounding him. He thinks of the villagers waiting ahead, still trapped in terror at his name. His chest tightens. They will never see me as changed. They will only see what I have been. The Buddha glances at him, eyes warm. Perhaps. But the truth of your change is not for them to decide. It is for you to live. In time, they will see what your actions reveal. And if they never see, still you will know. Pause with me here. Think of your own life. How often do you let others' opinions decide whether you can change? How often do you believe their judgment is final? But true transformation is not performance. It is practice. Each step you take is proof enough. If this resonates, breathe with it. And if you feel called, share it. Your step forward may help someone else take theirs. The path winds gently upward, the trees parting to reveal a horizon tinted pink with dawn. Angulimala's chest rises with the weight of memory, but also with something lighter, resolve. He does not walk perfectly. His steps falter, but he walks. He remembers the sword lying in the dirt. He remembers the necklace heavy with death. But now he remembers something else too. The sound of it falling, the relief of letting go. That memory, fragile as it is, begins to anchor him. The Buddha continues ahead, unhurried. His voice comes again, steady as ever. You once believed your power was in taking life. Now you must learn the greater strength-giving life, protecting it, honoring it. This is the true path of transformation. Angulimala swallows hard, his eyes stinging with fresh tears. Then let me learn. Even if it takes the rest of my life, let me learn. You already are, the Buddha replies. The air feels different now. Where once silence was heavy with dread, it is now filled with possibility. The forest, the sky, even the earth beneath their feet seems to witness this fragile rebirth. The man who once measured his worth in death now learns to measure it in steps forward. And yet, the true test waits beyond the forest. The villagers have not seen the sword fall. They have not heard the vow of compassion. They will see only the man they fear. The light of dawn stretches further, promising a new day. But a promise is only proven when tested. And soon, the world will test him. The lesson: the sun edges higher now, warming the treetops with a soft glow. The forest begins to stir again, birds tentatively breaking the silence with faint calls, as though even they waited for the violence of night to pass. Angulimala walks with the Buddha, his steps slower than before, his face heavy with thought. The weight of memory clings to him, but each breath feels different, less like a man running toward death, more like someone learning how to live. He finally breaks the quiet. Why me? His voice is low, rough. Why did you come to me when the world had already given up? You could have left me in the darkness. Why risk your life for mine? The Buddha's eyes soften, his pace steady. Because every man thinks his mistakes are final. They believe they cannot turn back, that the past has written their future. But the truth is simple. No matter how many wrongs have been done, a single decision to do right can begin a new story. You are not beyond that truth. Angulimala shakes his head, his breath unsteady. But how can one choice outweigh years of cruelty? How can one step erase miles of blood? It does not erase, the Buddha replies. It transforms. The past remains what it is, but the present is alive, and in each moment you are given the chance to change direction. It is like a traveler lost in the desert. He may have walked days toward a death, but the moment he turns, he begins moving toward a life. That moment of turning matters more than all the miles before. The words press into Angulimala's chest like a balm in a wound at once. His voice shakes as he whispers, "Then my tears, my vow, these are the first steps?" "Yes," the Buddha answers gently. "And each step that follows will shape who you are becoming. This is the lesson. It is never too late to begin again. The only question is whether you are willing to take the first step." Pause here with me. Think of the times you have believed it was too late for you, when regret felt like a wall you could never climb. The lesson of this story is not only for Angulimala. It is for anyone who carries the weight of mistakes. Your wall may be high, but the door is in your hand. You do not need to erase the past. You only need to choose the direction of your next step. If this truth stirs something in you, let it sink deep. And if you feel moved, share it. Your lesson might light the way for someone else. The forest path widens as they walk. The air is fresher, the horizon brighter. Angulimala feels his shoulders loosen just slightly, though the memory of his crimes is still heavy. He speaks again, his voice trembling. "Then there is hope even for a man like me?" The Buddha glances at him, his expression calm. "Hope is not given to you. It is grown by you. The moment you act with compassion, you create hope. And the more you walk that path, the stronger it becomes." Angulimala nods faintly, his lips pressing tight. For years, his identity was carved into stone: murderer, monster, beast. And yet here, with each word, with each step, that stone begins to crack. Beneath it, a seed of something new stirs. The sun breaks further through the trees, casting long beams across the path. Angulimala lifts his head toward the light, blinking against its brightness. His eyes still carry sorrow, but also a fragile spark that was not there before. The Buddha continues forward, voice quiet, as though speaking both to Angulimala and to the world beyond. This is the lesson for all who listen. The past is a teacher, not a prison. If you choose compassion, you walk free, no matter how heavy your yesterdays. The forest opens wider, and the path bends toward the village that still hides in fear. Dawn is here, full and alive, but the true test of the lesson has not yet come. For the villagers do not know of Angulimala's vow. They remember only the shadow he once cast, and soon he will face them. The lesson spoken in the forest must now be lived in the light of day. Your first step. The morning has broken fully now. Sunlight spills through the branches, painting the ground with shifting patterns of gold. The forest no longer feels like a cage of shadows. It feels like a path. Each beam of light seems to remind Angulimala that yesterday has ended, and today belongs to the man he chooses to be. Still, doubt flickers in his chest. He turns to the Buddha, his voice unsteady. You speak of steps, of new paths. But what if I stumble? What if I fall back into the man I was? The Buddha does not hesitate. Then you rise again. Every fall is only another chance to stand. The first step is not about perfection. It is about direction. Once you turn toward compassion, each step, no matter how small, carries you forward. Angulimala lowers his eyes, his breath slow. And if I cannot take many steps, if the weight of my past drags me down, the Buddha's answer is simple. Then take one, only one, and let that be enough for today. Tomorrow, take another. Step by step, the man you were becomes the man you are becoming. The mountain is climbed not in leaps, but in steady movements of the foot. The words linger like sunlight on cold stone. Angulimala feels them, though the doubt still whispers. He clutches his empty hands, remembering how they once carried blades. Now they tremble with uncertainty, but they are open. Open hands are ready to build, to give, to heal. Pause with me here. Think about your own life. What first step could you take today? Maybe it's small, an apology you've avoided, a kindness you've delayed, a burden you're ready to set down. Don't think of the whole mountain. Think of one step. Share it if you'd like. Sometimes naming the step out loud is the very act of taking it. The forest path bends gently downward, leading them closer to the village. The sound of distant voices carries faintly through the morning air. Angulimala stiffens, his fear returning. They will never accept me, he murmurs. They will not believe what I have become. The Buddha places a hand on his shoulder, steadying him. You do not walk for their acceptance. You walk for your truth. Whether they believe or not, your step is still yours. Do not let their fear decide your direction. The words settle deep, and for the first time Angulimala straightens his shoulders, even if just slightly. His chest still aches, his mind still trembles, but his feet move forward. The man who once hunted villages now walks toward one with nothing in his hands but the fragile seed of peace. The path widens. The air carries the faint smell of wood smoke from the village ahead. Every step forward feels heavier, yet also lighter. This is the paradox of transformation. The burden of memory remains, but the weight is balanced by the strength of choosing differently. The Buddha walks calmly beside him, unhurried, his robe brushing lightly against the earth. His presence is reminder enough. It is not about where you begin, but that you begin. The lesson is alive now, not just in words, but in footsteps. Angulimala is not healed in an instant. He is not absolved in one breath. But he has taken his first step, and that is enough. The morning light spreads further, brightening the village roofs in the distance. Doors still remain closed, windows still shuttered. The people have not yet seen the man he is becoming. And soon, they will. See Tia midway. The path bends, and the roofs of the village are now clearly in sight. Thin smoke rises from chimneys, the smell of morning fires drifting into the air. Life is waking behind those doors, though still hidden, still wary. Angulimala slows his steps, fear pressing heavy on his chest. He whispers to the Buddha, "They will see me, and remember only blood. Their eyes will never forget." The Buddha's voice is steady. Let them see what they see. You cannot control their fear. You can only control your step. Walk gently, walk truthfully. Let time show them who you have become. Angulimala nods, though his shoulders are tense, his hands trembling. He swallows hard, then continues forward. Each step feels like fire, but each step is taken. Pause here with me. If you've been following this story, if a moment has touched you, a phrase, a feeling, even a single sentence, share it. Maybe it was when the sword fell. Maybe it was when the Buddha said, "Whenever you wake, it is your morning." Or maybe it was something smaller, a line that lingered in your heart. Write it in the comments. Not only for yourself, but because someone else may read your words and feel the same light. The road ahead is narrow, lined with low walls of stone. The Buddha walks as though the world is already at peace. Angulimala follows, his steps uneven but true. Behind shuttered windows, the villagers stir. Faces peek through cracks, eyes wide with fear. Children are pulled back quickly by mothers who whisper warnings. The shadow of his name is still strong. Angulimala lowers his head, shame flooding him. His voice breaks. They will never believe me. No matter what I do, they will never trust. The Buddha glances at him, his tone firm. Trust is not built in one step. It is built in many. Today you walk with empty hands. Tomorrow you may walk with kindness. In time the walls will soften, but do not mistake their fear for truth. The truth is the step you take now. The words steady him, though the ache remains. His breathing slows, his feet press forward. The sound of his steps is no longer the echo of a predator, but the rhythm of a man trying to begin. Pause again. Think about the parts of your life where people doubt your change. How often do you let their disbelief chain you? But their belief is not required for you to keep walking. The step is yours, not theirs. Let this be your reminder. Transformation does not wait for applause. If this speaks to you, let it stay. Or share it, because someone else may need the courage to walk even when no one believes. The village grows closer, the air alive with whispers behind closed doors. The tension rises like smoke, thicker with every step. The Buddha continues, calm, unshaken. Angulimala follows, carrying the weight of his past, but also the fragile seed of his vow. The moment of truth waits just beyond those doors. The people will see him. Their fear will surge. Their anger will speak. And soon he must face not the silence of the forest, but the judgment of the world. A village transformed. The path opens wider now, leading them into the heart of the village. The sun has climbed higher, brushing rooftops with light, but the air is thick with silence. Doors remain shut, windows barred. Behind them, whispers curl like smoke, cautious, fearful, sharp. Angulimala feels the weight of 100 unseen eyes pressing down on him. His steps falter, and shame rises like heat in his chest. The Buddha continues forward, his presence calm, unhurried. He stops before the first house, standing tall, his robe catching the light. His voice rings out gently, the same as it did the night before. Bhiksham dehi. A request for alms, spoken without fear. For a moment, nothing stirs. Then slowly, a door creaks open. A woman peers out, her eyes wide, her face pale. Her gaze flicks from the Buddha to the man beside him, and when she sees Angulimala, her breath catches in horror. She gasps, slams the door shut, and bolts it with trembling hands. The sound echoes down the street, and whispers swell louder from behind the walls. Angulimala lowers his head, his shoulders caving. "I told you," he mutters, voice breaking. "They will never see me as anything else. I am a monster to them still." The Buddha looks at him, his tone firm but gentle. "Do not let one door close your heart. Every wall will fall in its time, but not all at once. Keep walking." They move further into the village. More doors open, more faces appear. Children pulled back by frightened mothers, old men whispering hurried prayers. Some throw stones at the ground near Angulimala's feet, not daring to strike him directly, but needing to show their anger. He does not resist, though each stone feels heavier than the last. He clenches his fists but keeps them low, forcing his steps forward. The Buddha's calm is unbroken. "Do not answer their fear with fear," he says softly. "Let your silence show the truth. Let your peace be your voice." Angulimala breathes deeply, fighting the storm inside. The urge to run, to shout, to fight back still lingers, but he resists. Step by step, he walks, his empty hands trembling but open. For the first time, he offers no threat, no roar, only silence. And something begins to shift. A child peers from a window, wide-eyed, expecting violence, but there is none. A man steps into the street, his body tense, ready for an attack, yet none comes. The people wait for the predator they remember, but instead they see a man walking quietly beside the Buddha, his head lowered, his hands bare. The whispers soften, confusion spreading. This is not the Angulimala they knew. The terror of the forest is gone. In his place stands someone else, someone broken, someone quieter, someone changed. Pause with me here. Imagine what it feels like to be judged only by your past, every eye seeing nothing but the worst thing you've ever done. Yet transformation cannot hide forever. Sooner or later, your actions will speak louder than your history. If you've ever carried that weight, take this moment in, and if you want, share it. Others may find courage knowing they are not alone in being misjudged by their yesterday. The villagers do not cheer. They do not welcome him, but they do not strike him down either. They watch, uncertain, hesitant. The silence is no longer filled with pure fear, it is mixed with something else. Curiosity, doubt. The first cracks in the wall of terror. Angulimala notices it too. His chest still aches, but hope flickers faintly. For the first time, he sees not only hatred in their eyes, but the possibility of change. He looks at the Buddha, whose calm expression reflects the truth. Transformation takes time, but it begins with presence. They reach the center of the village. Doors remain closed, but windows stay open now. Faces still watch, still whisper, but they no longer retreat. The fear is shifting, even if only by a single thread. The Buddha turns to Angulimala, his voice low. This is the beginning. You have not erased their fear, but you have shown them something new. Step by step, their eyes will change, just as yours have. The morning light spills brighter into the square, touching every shuttered house, every hidden face. A village once locked in silence now leans forward, not yet free of fear, but no longer held fully by it. And soon, the lesson of Angulimala's transformation will turn inward, asking not only what the villagers see, but what we ourselves must face within. Inner reflection. The village grows quiet again, but it is not the silence of fear alone. It is the silence of watching, of questioning, of hearts uncertain whether to harden or to soften. Angulimala feels the weight of every eye, and yet something inside him is different now. The shame is there, sharp as ever, but it no longer paralyzes him. Instead, it guides him. He realizes that his life is no longer about proving his strength. It is about proving his change. The Buddha pauses in the square, the morning sun glowing against his robe. He turns to Angulimala, his voice steady and low. What you see in their eyes is only a reflection of what still lingers in you. Their fear mirrors your doubt. Their anger mirrors your shame. To walk free, you must face not only their judgment, but your own. The words strike deep. Angulimala lowers his head, his breath ragged. Then I am my own prison, he murmurs. Yes, the Buddha answers, but you also hold the key. The square feels heavy with this truth. Angulimala presses his palms together, his voice unsteady. How do I use it? How do I forgive myself when the blood is still on my hands? The Buddha looks at him, his eyes calm as still water. Self-forgiveness does not erase what has been. It accepts it, learns from it, and chooses differently. To hate yourself is only another chain. To forgive yourself is to see clearly and walk forward with compassion for all, including the man you once were. Pause with me here. Think of the chains you still carry inside. The voices that whisper you are not enough, that you cannot change, that your past defines you forever. What if those voices are only echoes of your own judgment? What if forgiveness does not exile your past, but releases your future? Let this sit with you, and if you feel ready, share it, because your reflection may be the light someone else needs in their own dark square. The villagers still watch from behind doors and windows. Some scowl, some whisper, some simply stare. Their silence is not acceptance, but it is not rejection either. It is a space in between, and in that space, possibility lives. Angulimala feels it too. He straightens his shoulders, his hands still trembling but open. He looks around at the homes, the people hiding within. I see them, he says softly, but I also see myself in their fear. I see the man I was reflected back to me. The Buddha nods. And what do you see now? Angulimala's throat tightens. I see a man who can walk differently. I see that the reflection is not fixed. If I keep walking, If I keep choosing compassion, then one day the mirror will show something else. The Buddha's eyes soften. Then you have already begun to forgive yourself. The morning sun grows brighter, spilling warmth across the square. The stillness of the village is no longer suffocating. It feels like a pause before change. The people remain hidden, but their eyes linger. They are witnessing not the monster of the forest, but the fragile birth of something new. Angulimala breathes deeply, his chest rising with resolve. He does not expect cheers. He does not expect trust. He expects only the long path of proving, one step at a time. And in that expectation lies strength. The Buddha turns, his robe moving lightly with the breeze. He begins to walk again, and Angulimala follows. Behind them, the square remains silent, but the silence is different now. It is a silence that wonders, a silence that waits. And soon, this silence will give way to whispers of change, not only in the village, but in the heart of anyone who listens. The road stretches beyond the square, sunlight pouring across it like a path of gold. The Buddha walks calmly, each step steady, as if the world itself bends toward peace in his presence. Beside him, Angulimala moves with smaller steps, but steps nonetheless. His head is bowed, not in shame now, but in humility. The villagers remain behind doors and windows, but their eyes linger. Some still whisper, some still tremble, yet none dare strike. The silence has changed. It no longer feels like terror alone. It feels like waiting. Angulimala senses it too. He whispers to the Buddha, "They may never forgive me. They may never trust me. But I will keep walking. I will keep choosing compassion, no matter what they see." The Buddha glances at him with a quiet smile. "That is enough. The truth of your path is not in their voices, but in your steps. Over time, even stone is shaped by flowing water. Let your peace wear away their fear." The words settle deep. Angulimala's shoulders straighten, his breath steadying. He is still haunted, but he walks. And in his walking lies the proof of transformation. Pause here with me. If you have found peace or hope in this story, carry it with you. Let it remind you that no step is too small, no past too heavy, no night too dark to begin again. And if these words have touched you tonight, I invite you to keep walking with me too. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next story we share together. Let these stories be a lantern in your evenings, a reminder that calm and compassion are always within reach. The path narrows as they leave the square, but the world ahead feels wider, brighter. Angulimala is no longer the predator of the forest. He is the student of compassion, walking in silence beside the teacher who refused to fear him. Each step is a vow, a promise, a practice. The Buddha says nothing more for now, allowing silence to be the lesson. And in that silence, something profound unfolds. The world has not yet forgiven Angulimala, but he has begun to forgive himself. And that, perhaps, is the hardest forgiveness of all. The air grows warmer, the morning alive with birdsong. Life moves forward, as it always does, and so do they. But the story is not finished yet. There is one final moment waiting, a moment not of fear, not of shame, but of quiet surrender to peace itself. And soon we will reach it. Whisper to sleep. The sun has risen fully now, its light spilling across the village and into the fields beyond. The houses are still, the people watch from shadows, but the path has already changed. Angulimala walks at the Buddha's side, no sword, no garland, only the echo of vows carried in silence. He does not speak, and yet his presence feels different. The weight of the forest has lifted. What was once dread has become the fragile rhythm of new life. The Buddha does not need to say more. His quiet companionship is the teaching itself. One step, then another. Peace is practiced, not declared. Angulimala's face is still worn, his eyes still heavy with memory, but they hold something they did not before light. A light faint as dawn, but real, alive, undeniable. The road winds gently out of the village, carrying them into the wider world. Behind them, whispers continue, some in fear, some in anger, but also some in wonder. Even if the villagers cannot yet name it, they have witnessed a shift. The monster has laid down his blade. The killer has taken a vow, and time, like water carving stone, will carry this truth forward. Pause with me now. Let this story linger. It is not only about a man in a distant time, but about each of us. About the swords we carry, the chains we grip, the walls we build around our hearts. The lesson is simple. Nothing is impossible. Whenever you wake, it is your morning. You may not erase what has been, but you can choose what comes next. That choice is your freedom. That step is your beginning. So breathe in slowly, out slowly. Feel the weight in your body ease. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw loosen. Let your chest soften. Imagine your own sword falling. Imagine your own chains breaking. Imagine the light of morning spilling gently across your path. You are not beyond change. You are not too late. You are still here, and that is enough. If this journey has given you calm tonight, let it stay with you. And when you're ready, I invite you to keep walking with me. There will be more stories, more lanterns for the night. Subscribe if you wish. Turn on the bell and join this circle of quiet travelers. But for now, simply rest. The Buddha and Angulimala disappear down the path, their figures fading into the glow of morning. The village settles, the whispers soften, the day begins. And here, your night slows. Let the story blur at the edges, its details dissolving into calm. Let your breathing guide you deeper into stillness. The lesson has been spoken. The choice is yours to carry. But tonight, there is nothing left to do, nothing left to prove, only to rest. The light dims in your mind, soft as candle flame, soft as the hush of leaves in the wind. The story folds itself like a blanket around you, gentle, steady, safe. And as sleep begins to take you, remember, morning will come whenever you wake. End of script. Sweet dreams.